Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jerry Cervantes,
Linda Michelle,
Jimmy Alexandre.
Jeff Lamore,
and we are
Voice of the Ville.
Today we have our Albertville Chief of Police. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. My name is JT Cartee. I'm the chief of police here at Albertville, commonly known as Butch, which is a nickname that I go by. A lot of people call me by that.
Well, Chief Butch JT Cartee, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Welcome to the Voice of the Ville, the Chief of the Ville, here in person in the
I like
flesh.
that. Chief
like
of the
that.
Ville.
Chief of the Ville.
Chief of the Ville.
Chief, how long been chief?
4 years. January the 8th or 3rd, somewhere along in there, I'll be 4 years.
Mm.
What's it like in a day of the life of the Chief of Police?
It's like a run. I get there every morning and feel like I'm running all day, and then depends on what time I go home, and then I can de-stress after that. So I find it to be a stressful job. If you care about it, it is.
You were a detective, right?
Yeah, I probably spent around 20 years as a detective. About 15 of that was as chief detective.
Wow.
Okay. So, what inspired you to get into law enforcement?
Well, just to be honest with you, back in the day, I had no idea I was going to be a law enforcement officer. In fact, I was a little bit of a rounder. Participated in my share of drug use. Nothing bad. It was just what was common in the community. Married a woman with 4 kids. Prior to this, my law enforcement career, I worked in EMS at Guntersville Hospital Ambulance Service. Worked there for several years. That's where I actually met my wife. But began to realize when you got 4 kids, a family, you got to have better benefits, better insurance. So my best friend, Andy Whitten, worked at Albertville. And he told me, he says, why don't you come up here and go to work? And I'd rode with him some. My dad was a military police officer. And so I applied, and it took a year for my number to come up, you might say, and started to work up here and loved it. I could not believe that they paid me to do this. I would have worked for free. I loved it so
So, it
much.
didn't even feel like work. Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I would work for free because the kids would come in, and I worked nights. I love nights, and I love the night people. I love the action of the night, and so the kids would come in off the school bus, wake me up because I was sleeping during the day. I would go ahead and get ready and come in. So I'd come in around 3 o'clock, and I'd get in the car with somebody, and I'd work from 3 to 6 when my regular shift started, 6 p.m. And that I didn't charge them for. And then I'd work my 12-hour shift. So
I can relate to the 12-hour shifts. I'm a BSNRN, and I worked a night shift for years.
And see, when I started, it was 12 hours, 4 days on, 4 days off. I loved it. Now we've had to change it.
What year was that, Chief?
1987, September the 8th of 1987. In fact, this month is my 38th year
Wow. Here in Albertville.
here in Albertville. I've only been married to one woman, and I've worked at one police department all my career.
Wow. Loyalty. Shout out to the wife.
That's the one that's located in the Ville.
Yep.
Well, I love this town.
Yeah.
As I've gotten older, attitude's gotten better, getting more involved in church. There's really a time I felt like the city owed me something. At this point in my life, I owe the city something, and I want to give back. That's why I come in every morning at a run, or as I've gotten older, it's more as a trot. I get up every day thinking, what can I do to make this place better? It's stressful though, because your mind's always turning, always what needs to be done, what can I accomplish today?
You gotta sing praises for that, because having a chief that really is involved as you are, as I see you in all the events around town, and for you to be loyal to the city that long, and to have an attitude now that you feel like you just want to serve the city, not like other cities where the chief may feel like, oh, I need more money, or I need this, or I need that. But to have somebody like you as leadership for the police, I think that's everything, man.
Well, thank you, but they do pay me very well.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with my pay.
Oh yeah.
But I've always been one to be content. I'm like Paul in the Bible. Hey, whatever condition I find myself in, I want to be content. Guys now struggle. And I try to tell them, I'm like, live within your means. I remember when I started, I would get up and go to work Friday, if the shift fell that way. And I would be broke. I would go and get my check. I would go next door where the magistrates are now, where our courtroom is, used to be a bank. And that's why I banked there, because I could get my check, walk over, cash my check. When our shift started, I'd go to the house, give my wife part of the money, and then I took enough to eat or whatever, and I had a routine. I pretty much eat at 12 o'clock every night. Like to eat at the omelet shop. 2 scrambled eggs and 2 pieces of dry wheat toast and black coffee. That was my meal.
If you ever see Chief at any, morning breakfast, it's second to get you.
Yeah.
Well, it's changed a lot now, but yeah, I can afford a little bit more now. Yeah.
He likes fried bagel.
Yep. Well, you got me started on those. Yeah.
You deserve it, Chief. Man.
Well, I like what you're doing in the community. I know Chief for a good bit, and we ride around sometimes just educating folks. You educate a lot of the Haitian people on how to live and just be a part of the community. And most people were like, "Yeah, we need to get them arrested, this and that." But you solely believe on education. Why is that?
Well,
Why don't you take the tougher approach like most people would want to?
I'm a law and order guy, but we should enforce the law with compassion. I look at it as being preventative. If I can stop a crime from happening, if I can educate a person and say, hey, it's something as trivial as you need to keep your grass under 12 inches. And, I'm referring to our meeting the other day that folks might not know about, but we had a meeting with a lot of our community members to try to clean our city up. If I can do that and educate somebody to keep their grass mowed and take care of their property, then we don't have to go in and take an enforcement action. That's a win. I don't like making arrests. Arrests cost the city money. It really does. We have to house you. We have to feed you. There's a lot goes into that. So if we can prevent an arrest, that's so much better. Now, there's a lot of hard-headed people in our community. Or sometimes we have to make an arrest. Quite often we have to make an arrest. Same thing with traffic tickets. It's a necessary thing to let people know, slow down. But we write probably more warnings than we do tickets. And we put our stats out every month on our Facebook page. So if you're curious about what we're doing, go to our Facebook page. It's all laid out there.
Chief, you mean to tell me there's hard-headed?
Yes, there are. And I'm gonna tell you, and they're not unique to any culture. Okay, all cultures have knuckleheads like that.
Like, why all y'all looking at?
No,
Y'all hard-headed. Gee, am I hard-headed?
Yes, sir. Sometimes you are.
You walked into that one, man.
You sure did.
Yeah. No, but that's really great. Like giving them the education, because if we throw a Hispanic or a Haitian, somebody that's new to the community, well, it doesn't exactly matter. But for these two groups, they might not know the language, they might not know the custom. We throw them in jail. What is that gonna do?
It's gonna create more resentment.
And that's true. So if we can educate that's so much better.
And Chief Cartee he's a rock star, and I'm telling you, he showed up to the church. Everybody want a picture with him, not the mayor. The funny story, I teach Sunday school. I taught today. I have a class at my church, and after we attended the Haitian churches and everybody wanted a picture, I was sharing my experiences with my Sunday school class, and I said, none of y'all have ever asked
or a photo with me. I said, every Haitian church people want, y'all don't love me like they do. I'm gonna, and people need to take some time to get to know our different cultures, because I have met some wonderful people of Haitian descent, the Haitian culture, the Hispanic culture. There are some wonderful people here. Now we've seen, several years ago was a Haitian man that shot at one of our police officers. They're not all perfect, but we can't lump everybody in the same basket. Everybody's different.
What culture, what creed, what background, what race. We're going to have, a group of people who are good, law-abiding citizens, and you're gonna have the rebels. No matter what culture, you're going to have that. But it is ironic, or it's crazy, ludicrous, for lack of words, for people to identify a whole group of people based on the action of one individual.
No, you can't do that. You
One or two
can't, you
individuals.
can't do
That's
that.
right.
I love how our mayor and chief of police have the same idea. Every single meeting I sit with them, it's always breaching the gap between the city hall and the communities. And they really, really been after that. I seen them meeting at Mexican restaurants, Haitian restaurants, going to the local businesses, talking to the business owner. And there's time when we walk in those places that was selling lottery, I was like, whoa, Chief, he's about to make an arrest. We're going to get some action, and all it takes is education, over, I see Chief, just sit there and educate these people. And really, I just think those guys they lead by example, because they believe that leadership is serving. It's not that I'm here, you there. And a lot of that beliefs comes with them being a believer in the Bible.
Well, I base all my beliefs on biblical principles, the teachings of Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. Okay. He tells us to love our neighbor, pray for our enemy. Mm-hmm. I don't have it in my, thank God for this, because there was a time I did hate. I don't have it in my nature to hate people. Mm-hmm. There's some people that I dislike. I don't want to be around. We call them sandpaper people at our church, because they just kind of rub you raw. There's people like that. But I just don't want to hate people. I want to love people, and that's what it's all about. And I'm very fortunate that I can go out and do these things because I have such a good staff. Right. I have folks. I can't take credit for how well things are going. I couldn't do this by myself. It's not me. It's us. Mm-hmm. It's the people in our department. It's the people in this community. It's Jeff. Jeff took me out and introduced me to a new culture I didn't know. And I've met some wonderful people. I've gone to churches. Now I have some Haitian pastors. Those are my pastors.
But if I may, Chief, as a leader, what I admire most about you is your compassion and the grace that you have towards others.
Well,
and I think as a leader, because you carry that, others are following in your footsteps.
Mm-hmm. Well, the problem is a lot of people, and I was really concerned about this when I got the opportunity to be chief, is they get big egos. Mm-hmm. Egos will really lead you in the wrong direction. Egos really fill your head full of thoughts that aren't real, mm-hmm. And that are not reality. I had a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, he's a Christian friend. We talk to each other, and there's times that he says things to me, and I said, hey, that's not Christ-like. And I'll talk to him, he'll say, well, now, Butch, that's not Christ-like. So we, mm-hmm. I guess you call it the iron sharpens iron. Yes, yeah. Well, and when the opportunity was given to me to be chief, I was concerned. Am I going to get the big ego? I was worried about it. And I was talking to him about it. He told me, he said, if you're worried about it, it's not going to happen. And I'm like, you know what? That's true. So humility goes a long way in leadership. You got to have understanding people. Now, there's times you got to be firm, but humility is where I want to be because that's what my Lord and Savior wants.
Mhm.
So
And sometimes you got to show a little tough love.
yeah. Well, I mean, we just, soon after I became chief, I had to let somebody go, and it pained me. I mean, I loved this person. Thought a lot of him, and I don't know what he thinks of me today, but I had to do what I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
If I may say, as Chief mentioned, the meeting that we had, I don't know how many of you who live in a community who can say you actually know your chief of police. Albertville, I think anybody who wants to can actually know who Chief Cartee is. I mean, it's that easy, that simple, which is, I think, absolutely amazing. But I do have a question.
Sure.
So what is the process? I mean, of course, you had to have a background of serving, as a police officer and so on. But is it being the chief? Is it something you get elected for? Is it a job you get hired for? Just kind of walk me through how does that work?
And 1 second before that, we have everybody that's viewing this has the opportunity to listen to Chief and get to know him, even from your own house. So don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe to our channel. We're bringing you guys these great conversations for free. Thanks, Chief.
Absolutely. So what is the process, Chief?
Well, actually, you're appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the council. That's the process. So I can speak to how it came about for me. The previous chief, Jamie Smith, he believed in me. So I was chief detective, considering retirement, was getting a little burnout, was a little bit disgusted with the way system was going. I felt like sometimes we paid more attention to the offender than the victim. So, and I get, let me just take the blame for that because it's all about attitude, right? My attitude wasn't where it needed to be. So I'm gonna blame that on me. I was considering retiring. Doug Pollard, the chief then, he came down to the office and he said, I'm fixing to retire. And I'm like, no, Doug, don't. Things are going pretty good. I was a little disgruntled, but it was me. I was working on it. And he said, well, I'm going to leave. So Jamie Smith was assistant chief. And so Jamie Smith got appointed. I was proud for that because Jamie is a good fellow. And so Jamie advertised in the department for assistant chief, wanted to do in-house. I'm like, well, I'm going to try that. So I applied for it. I'd applied for it before and got turned down. And so Jamie picked me. He believed in me. And I really appreciate that. So I was his assistant chief, and I loved assistant chief because you weren't quite at the top. So there was one more fellow says, hey, you need to go ask the chief about that. Now I'm the fellow that's got to make the final decision. But as assistant chief, I managed the fleet, kept things in stock. We have a patrol major who handles a lot of the personnel issues on the patrol level, and there's a lot of stuff gets handled every day through him. If it came to the assistant chief, it was something pretty substantial. But it was a great job. I loved it. Not a lot of responsibility, just enough responsibility to be okay, but not quite there. And so I remember Jamie had talked about retiring, and I said, Jamie, he was younger than me. And I said, you need to think about retiring. I said, at your age right now, you don't think about your retirement income, but when you get my age, it means something. So he didn't talk anymore about it. So when I forget what year it was, it was right before I got appointed. He called us all in his office. It was around Christmas. And I'm like, man, Jamie wants to have a Christmas party. And I don't want to be involved in this. I'm just not a party person. And so I'm sitting in there and thinking that Jamie's wanting to talk about us having a Christmas party. And he says, I'm fixing to retire. Wow, it floored me. It really did, because I felt things were going great. Jamie was a great chief. Things were running smooth. I loved the job. So, and he looked over at me and he says, and I recommended you to the mayor. Well, I was flattered, but then it's like stress level starts going up. Oh, yeah, it really did. And so the mayor sent Mike Brewer down and said, are you interested in the job? And I said, yeah, I think I am. And then the mayor and I talked, and I got to know him, and things are going well. He loves the community. I love the community. So I'm really blessed. I'm really thankful that God opened the door for me. You know, when God opens a door, he provides. And now there's days I'm like, Lord, where are you? Because this is awful. This is a hard decision to make, but he does provide.
Yeah, well, Albertville's thankful to have a good leadership.
Yeah.
Well, I want you to understand, though, it's not just me. It's like it goes all the way down. Now, do we make mistakes? We're human beings. We're not perfect. We're not perfect at all. We make
Well,
mistakes.
the only thing I see a lot of complaint about is our 911 center. There's a lot of people complain about that one.
See what the language?
Why?
It's like when you ever try to call 911 in Albertville?
No.
it's a secret joke.
Well, look,
Really?
let me explain to you how that works.
Yeah.
When you call 911, it actually goes to a center in Arab, and then it's rediverted to us. You know.
In Arab.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Then Albertville is.
Well, no, it might be part of us. It might be, maybe those people need to let us know what's going on so we can work on it, because we need that feedback from the community. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? If we're doing something wrong, we need to look at it. Some people's perception of wrong is not wrong. But one thing I've always learned is if you get some constructive criticism, look at it, do an assessment and see if there's any truth to it.
Yeah.
And if it is, correct it. So I welcome any suggestions.
I mean, customer service of the police department, I feel like it could be a lot more friendlier.
Okay.
The reason I said that is because I'm friend with most of the chiefs, and I go to their department, and I feel like it could be a lot more friendlier in Albertville, because if you go to City Hall, it's amazing.
But what have you experienced, Jeff?
It's not
was
me.
unfriendly,
just
or what have you
I'm
heard?
just saying, like you show up there, you have one girl just sitting there and not even come up to the glass and say anything. What's important?
Waiting for a minute.
It's like,
Okay.
this is our police department.
So not being addressed in a
You're
timely
not being
manner.
addressed. You have to be friendly, because sometimes people that's showing up to these places, it's not people that's in their best day. They're not in the best day of their life. Being rude. I seen it one time with a Haitian guy, and I felt like it was kind of a little bit tough on him, but he was going through a hard time. The guy had to make a decision between having $300 chief and going to pay a ticket, which I felt like, it was hard on him. And he showed up, and I was going to see Chief at the time. I was like, I'm going to take you up there and he started explaining his situation, and I'm like, that's kind of tough, but he also felt like Haitians, they automatically think, oh man, these people are racist when you're rude to them. You know how they think, right? So, but I do think that can be I know I could address it to you directly, but I feel like that can be, something we work on.
Not making excuses, but help with understanding is sometimes that person's at a computer doing something. They got to finish up what they're doing before they can go to the window. It is frustrating when you can't speak the language. Very frustrating. We use language line. A lot of Haitian people speak Spanish. Our records clerk does speak Spanish. And we are a little calloused. We do it day to day.
Yeah.
It's routine to us. Now, when you're a victim of crime or you get a ticket, that's a big thing. But to us, it's day in and day out. I mean, when I was a detective, I've had to stop people and say, hey, I do cure, right? but this is the third burglary victim I've interviewed today. So I have to let them know that I might not show a lot of compassion, but I do care. I'm going to do the best job I can. But
You demonstrated awareness, self-awareness, where
yeah, I could sense this person thinks I don't care, but and there's been times too that I had to stop and I say, I didn't break into your house because they're so angry and all that anger is coming at me, and I'm like, I'm here to help you.
Projecting.
And that's what I tell my office lady. And if you ever go to my office, like, she's the nicest person.
Yeah, she is. She is a nice lady.
Yeah, and it's important that and I try to pay her as much as I can, without breaking the bank, because it's important. The first interaction, anywhere you go, that's what's gonna start the whole process right there. The person that give you the police report, they're nice and warm and to you as a citizen.
Yeah, I mean, they may not be sympathetic, but at least empathetic.
Yeah,
towards.
go ahead. Yeah,
Definitely, like what we're doing here right now is raising the awareness for some of these things, and I think it's true. Like any business you go to, it needs to be welcoming. It needs to be hello, and you need to be pretty much listening to see what you can do for the other person. So Chief's brought up awareness a few times now, and it's something that's definitely pronounced with him is having the self awareness to not get a big ego when it comes to the position, having the awareness that there is a such thing as an ego, and we all need to recognize that and be humble in our way of walking through life.
And just operate from a place of compassion.
Well, one thing is, I try to, if somebody comes in the front and wants to see the chief, I try to accommodate them. It's very frustrating sometimes. You're in the middle of working on something and you have to stop. Autumn, my administrative assistant, I had a gentleman come in and want to see the chief, and I said, "Well, okay." I'll say she sensed that I was just a little overwhelmed that day. She said, "Chief, you don't have to see everybody that walks in." And I said, "Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm here for. That's my job." And there's a lot of people that want to come see me, um, for all kind of various reasons. Some just want to come up and give me a card and say what a good job I'm doing. Some want to come in and complain. Um, you know, big thing is speeders on the roads. I hear a lot of that. We're fixing to have 8 people per shift, so um, some shifts have 8. We're working on 8 per shift when we get to 2 out of the academy we got now. So people have to understand there's only so many law enforcement officers in this community to address their needs. If I put somebody on the street working traffic all day, that person can't answer calls. So what I try to do is I'm like, is there a particular time of day it's worse than others? Is there one particular car? I try to like get as much intelligence as I can so we can narrow that time frame down so that officer's not tied up there.
Yes, sir.
But we have other things we do. We have traffic safety overtime, which girls come out. That's all they do is work traffic. So.
Chief, I'm curious, how often do people come? Because this is something for me that's like a pet peeve. How often do people complain about littering?
We get a lot of complaints about the dirtiness of the community. That's why our mayor now, we've had 2 meetings. We brought in the Hispanic community, the Haitian community. We're wanting to do some education. Now, I'm going to tell you what, just like the mayor said, we're not picking on anyone in particular. But it's a pet peeve of mine. I want our community clean. And that, if you're listening, hey, take pride in your property. Care about that you live in Albertville. It doesn't matter where you were born. When you live here, you're part of this community. So take pride in your property.
Absolutely. Everybody here is part of the city now. No matter where you come from, you are now part of the city. And we all take pride as a community to see a beautiful, clean house.
Yeah.
And we want to keep Albertville beautiful.
You gonna join that organization now?
Yes.
Third
Yeah,
episode.
I'm ready to listen. I will get out in the streets and I will help.
Sign her up.
I don't
Sign
mind.
her up.
Hey, so let's
Please.
talk about
But before
Go
we
ahead.
go,
Mhm.
just to put it out there, so the next time you win your car, you got that trash
Mhm.
that you just want to throw out the window.
Don't do that.
Of this episode, right?
Right.
Seriously, I mean, yesterday I was mowing my lawn. It took me 3 hours to mow, and I had a space in my lawn where I had a sign, a political sign. I won't say the names. Most people probably know who it is. I had a sign there,
We know who you're supporting.
and
They start with a J
and
and an E.
No, anyways, I had this sign there, right? And I just removed it a couple weeks ago or whatever. I cleaned my grass today, and it was like, or yesterday, and somebody threw a whole bag with cans and McDonald's
Yeah.
and just trash right exactly where the sign was at, right after I cleaned my yard. And I'm like, what could I do about that? There's nothing I can do. I'm not gonna set up a camera or something on the side of the road. But
Yeah.
it's frustrating.
Can we call you on them?
Well,
Like, what can we do when that happens?
you know what I did?
Uh-huh.
I had the same thing the other day. It could have been the trash truck. When they empty the trash, sometimes it falls out.
Mine runs on Monday, Chief.
So, okay,
what
anyway.
the-
Well, you probably do the.
Jerry's like, it wasn't the trash.
Sign, you know.
This was
Well,
purposely done.
You can call us, but you know what I've done? I go pick up my grabbers and throw it and pick it up and clean it up. And
It's just the human
It's the
thing,
human
though.
thing.
It's like
I'm just curious. Legally speaking,
Mhm.
let's say I do have a camera, and then I see the asylum pass by, driving by, and just without a care in the world, and just throw it there. Maybe I caught them once. I went out there and I picked it up, and then a couple weeks later, the same vehicle, same plane, happened to do the same thing. Just happened to be the coincidence. Is there anything we can do about it?
yes, sir, you can. Can you identify the driver of the car?
I can identify.
Okay, but can you identify the driver? Well, I mean, let's take it a little bit further. So you see the car go by, you see the trash come out. For the trash to come out, the window has to be down. So you might be able to say, I don't know who it is, but I know what he looks like. All right. So if we can get identification and you can say that's the person that threw that out, yes, you can sign a warrant. For criminal littering, it's what it's called.
Okay,
what if it
criminal
just
littering.
gets the plate? Is that going to be a ticket in the mail?
No, you can't write a ticket to a car. You have to write it to a person. Well, and you got to understand too. All right. So if we get a plate, and this is going to sound terrible, but hey, this is the way it is. I only got 5 detectives. Are we going to assign a detective to go and run this littering down when he's got burglaries and other things work? Now, I have had officers. I've had officers take the initiative, go take the report, go to the address, get the information. Ultimately, still, you have to be able to identify that person that threw it out. So if you didn't see them and you can't identify them, unless that person says, yeah, I threw it out, all you got is a car.
Whoever does that, do not throw trash on this earth. Put it in a trash can.
Yeah, I never.
Protect
Just
that.
keep Mother Earth clean.
Yeah, it's
please.
just, keep your community clean.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mhm.
That's everywhere.
We should still do it.
I mean, if
Let's get recorded.
the county will let me put it on the power pole, that's the only way.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Can't do that.
No.
But, I have had people that just give me a car description of a speeder. I've took some time running it down. The other day, my assistant chief went and knocked on the door and said, hey, you got to quit speeding on the road. Sometimes that's enough to get it.
That's what you need sometimes.
That's
Yep.
So, Chief,
Little scare.
since everybody's talking, I have a problem.
You have a problem too?
I don't know if we can solve your problem.
Welcome, Jeff.
I got a problem with these mailbox, man. They hitting my truck, you know? You see what happened in the mailbox hitting my truck?
Yeah. So Jeff, where are they hitting your truck at?
On the side. Like,
No, what area of the city? Because we might be able to
well,
put you.
I mean,
Is
there's
it-
a couple mailboxes.
Is this a confession?
No, it's not a confession. It's a mailbox.
This is what we call a spontaneous utterance.
Continuous.
A spontaneous utterance.
A mailbox hit my truck the other day. It cost me $4,000 worth of damage. Man, it's a big old mailbox.
Yeah, but what about the mailbox? Did you go back and fix
Well,
it?
I talked to the owner of the mailbox and I told him that, hey, your mailbox hit my truck, but she believed that. So, yeah, I told her I was sending one of my guys up there to fix it. I'm like, but next time, leave your mailbox.
Beware of the mailbox, folks.
Watch out for the
You're hitting trucks.
To my recognition, pretty much all of them are off the road. Okay.
We need to have a task force checking out your mailbox.
They're not passing the limits.
Well,
Chief,
you
you
know,
got
and
any-
that is a big thing for people when their mailboxes get hit. We go through times when the kids like to take baseball bats and hit them and stuff like that. So,
Well,
and of course,
I used
you
to
know,
do that one.
and and of course the recent
Limitations.
the big sign case, the political sign thefts, there were mailboxes damaged.
Hey, you saw that video of what you guys really investigating?
No, I just told. I told him, I said he was a suspect because it was Justin Ennis signs got stolen.
Suspect number one.
Those
And he-
guys that was damaging it, they had a Tacoma. Me and Jerry figured that out. Is that a Tacoma? I'm the only person that drive one of those.
He was trying to frame you, man. That's what it is.
That case was kind of controversial because of how it evolved and all. But I'm gonna give a good shout out to the detectives at Albertville Police Department that worked on that.
Shout out Chad Gang,
Chad Yen and Eric Farmer. They put that together.
Yeah.
And there was a lot. They kept me abreast of it, and there was a lot of neat investigative techniques used in that.
Yeah.
And investigations, the tools they have now have come so far compared to what I had. I told Eric Farmer, the chief detective, the other day, I said, man, if I had this stuff, I would have tore up stumps in my day. So.
Hey, you want me to tell you a secret about Chad Gang?
Sure.
You know how he solved crimes?
How's that?
By going in his car and stopping at every gas station and using it.
Yeah.
That's how he found is that stolen bolt right there?
Yeah.
Those things that's missing happen to be where he's at. You go and try again.
Chief, you gonna expose some of those new detective strategies?
No. We like to keep those secret.
Yeah.
He's
Had to test you.
hilarious. Chad Gang.
Do you have any wild stories you could share with us?
Um,
No names.
People ask me that question a lot over the years, but it's just nothing really stands out. I mean, I'll tell you, about tragic story, and because I like to keep his name alive. The gentleman I mentioned earlier, Andy Whitten, Ernest Andrew Whitten.
Yeah.
He was a police officer here, and he's the one that got me into law enforcement. And I called him Andy, my best friend. And I might tear up on telling this, so y'all, I'm 66 years old tomorrow. And I'm
66 years young. Happy birthday.
And this still hurts.
Yeah.
But Andy and I did a lot of neat stuff. We went to a lot of schools together because we wanted to be detectives together. Andy's dad worked at the PD. Andy's dad retired. Andy took that spot. And back then, in 95, we had 3 detectives. And they were talking about putting on a 4th. And I was wanting to be the 4th. And because I wanted to work with Andy. And Andy worked a theft case. And long story short, people involved in that case went to Andy's house and murdered him. And that devastated me. And that was one of two times I thought about getting out of law enforcement. We, of course, I'll never forget that night. My mom and dad had an old Bearcat scanner, and I don't know if you're familiar with them, but a lot of our folks out there, ours was a little black box that had red lights, and they would just scan, and they would stop on frequencies when people broadcast. And my mom called me up and she said, something's going on at Andy's house. Are you aware of it? And I'm like, no, I didn't take the radio home and listen to it. So I had a walkie-talkie, so I turned it on, and that's when I heard Andy's brother hollering for a helicopter. I'm like, gosh, what's going on? So I threw all my equipment in the back of my car and went over there to discover that Andy had been shot. And he was shot on January the 24th, late evening hours, and died on the 25th at the hospital here at Boaz. And I just thought, this ain't worth it. You know, I loved law enforcement. I mean, I loved it. And I didn't want to do it without my friend because, you know, we wanted to be detectives together. You know, we were going to change the world. Okay. And so what changed my mind about getting out of it is as in the funeral procession, going from Adams Brown, I believe that's where they held it at, to the gravesite. There were people standing on the side of the road holding flags and little kids with their hands over their hearts. And I'm like, you know, if I don't do this, who is? I'm going to do it for that little kid right there. I'm going to do it for that person. So I decided to stay in law enforcement, you know, and to this day, it still hurts. And I wanted to bring that up because people forget police officers after they're murdered. You know, the old timers die off, but nobody remembers them anymore. Yeah. So I just I wanted people to know about Ernest Andrew Whitten, who I knew as Andy Whitten.
Well,
Yeah, it's a powerful story. Thanks for sharing that.
yeah, thanks for doing and sharing that. I mean, yeah.
Let's talk about some happy stuff now.
But I'd love to say I'm pretty sure, you know, your best friend is very proud of your accomplishment.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, I wish he was alive to see it.
Yeah.
You know, I wish my mom and dad was still alive to see it. You know, they were always proud of me, and often wondered, you know, what they would think. You know, I had wonderful parents. It didn't matter what I did; they loved me. I remember in high school, I told the assistant principal, "Can I say hell on the word on here?"
Every $5 project.
I let my mouth overload my rear end, and I told the assistant principal at the high school to go to hell. And I was involved in something I shouldn't, and I should have just kept my mouth shut. So he brought me to the office. Only time I ever been suspended. So I had to call my mom up, and I never forget. She said, "What'd you do?" I said, "Well, I told her what I did." And she, you know, she said was, "Do you think he need to know that, or did you think you needed to tell him that?" I said, "Well, Mom, at the time, I thought I should say it." And she said, "Okay, come home. I got a rose garden I want you to fix for me." So I went home. My mom and dad never punished me. They knew that I realized it was wrong. You know, so I had very, very supportive parents. Um, my dad was in the military, so we traveled around. Actually, I wasn't born here. I was born in Virginia.
So is there any cases that when you're a detective that you wish you could have solved?
Yeah, there's two murder cases. One involves Brandy Parker, and the other one involves a Hispanic gentleman. What is his? I can't recall his name. Brandy was killed on Buchanan Road. She was pregnant, and that's when she was killed, and that's what the Brody bill essentially came out of, was that um, when you kill a female that's pregnant, you get charged with the death of the baby. It's kind of ironic, though. You can some places in this country you can get an abortion and kill the baby, but hey, that's another story. And then the gentleman down, Hispanic gentleman that was shot and killed at a mobile home park that's no longer there. What's really frustrating about that is there were people there that saw it. There was a gentleman there I knew saw it, but he just would not tell me what he saw. Um, I interviewed him more than several times, and they were all partying. I mean, it was just like a big party atmosphere in the park, and then all of a sudden the shooting happens. Everybody goes in, closes their door, leaves that young man there to die in the road. Neighbor in the White House next door comes out to use the bathroom and sees him and calls the police. So, but that was really frustrating because um, no one would tell me what they saw. And it's kind of like you got to have people's help to solve crimes. It's like in our meeting the other day, we have to have the community's help to do this. We can't do it all by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But those two right there stand out, especially Brandy Parker. And there's been some news articles here recently hoping to stir up something because there's people out there that know about this. They just won't talk, but sometimes time changes people, and that's what I was hoping for. But I'll never forget Brandy Parker. Another gentleman, wish I could remember his name. I have both their case files in my office, so so I wouldn't forget them.
What is the best, most accomplished? I mean, other than where you are right now, your accomplishment, but as far as cases, you had two that you mentioned that you couldn't solve. But let's say in the ones that you did solve, which ones stand out to you more and why?
I guess the one that really stands out, I'll try to leave some names out of this one, was a young lady that was murdered, and I knew her family. And we were able to solve the murder, got a confession. A shout out to the FBI agent that helped us with the polygraph. Great guy. Awesome guy. He told me, he said, you get him up here for a polygraph, I'll get a confession. And it took me several tries, but we got him up there. I won't forget that. It was late in the evening. We were sitting there in the office, and he was polygraphing him. And when he shouted down the hall, "Hey, Butch," I knew he had him. I go down to the recorder, get a quick statement from him, and like, "Will you take me to the body?" And he did. Once we confirmed the body, she was dumped in Etowah County, so we had a prior agreement because I knew this was going to happen. Etowah County came and worked the crime scene for us, and we went ahead and done what we had to do with him because it was like late in the evening. Seems like all those are either early morning or late in the evening, very inconvenient times. But the biggest thing on that is I wanted to go and tell the family that we had found her. We kind of knew she was dead. I mean, it was expected, but I wanted to let her mom know that we had found her and she was going to be taken care of. Of course, by then she was skeletonized, but
I'm just curious. And I used to watch a lot of TVs and movies. So usually something like that when it happened, like did he plead for a deal before it happened, or when he confessed it, or how does that work? So the movies they say that if you confess, you get to plead for a deal, so you can get less time or what?
Well,
Take
that comes after our involvement. That and TV is not really accurate.
I watch a lot of crime shows.
It's important when I speak to someone that I don't give them the expectation that if you confess, I will give you something. Okay, the confession has to be totally what's the word I'm looking for? Voluntarily. So I mean,
be taken into consideration when it comes to the judge of that.
Yeah, I mean, in the federal system, you get points for cooperation. In the state system, not so much. But when it comes to sentencing, they probably look at level of cooperation and all that. I always just concentrated on investigation part. I did not get wound up and upset about the prosecution because I used to get upset because there was a lot of what we call plea bargaining. And sometimes I would express myself, and I had an old prosecutor told me, he said, I'll never forget him. He said, now, Butch, He said, when you give me good cases, I can get what I want in the plea bargain. So after he told me that, I'm like, okay, don't get all wound up in it. Just do your job, get the best evidence you can, and the prosecutor will prosecute.
Chief, let me ask you a personal question. It's funny, we were just having a conversation prior to the taping, and it is said, innocent until proven guilty.
Yes.
Right? So that means if you are arrested based on suspicion,
Mhm.
or let's say if we take it to the federal level, an indictment, why is it that you are treated as a prisoner? You have the same treatment as a prisoner while you're in the jail.
Well, technically, you are a prisoner. I mean,
But you innocent until proven guilty.
yeah, and well, you've been arrested and you're incarcerated up until you have a right to bond. Certain instances you don't have a right to bond, capital murder, stuff like that. Now, so let's go back a little bit further. I had a whole guy one time tell me, he said, "Son, you're the first judge and jury." And I'm like, what does that mean? That means I have to make the decision that I have enough probable cause or reasonable suspicion, whatever I'm looking for, to make that arrest. Now, that might be if it's a murder case, I got enough evidence to go get a warrant? Or if it's a traffic ticket, I saw you speeding, it's my decision first. We have discretion in a lot of what we do. Now, certainly murders and stuff like that, the serious crimes you got to do. But if I stop you for speeding, I have the discretion to write you a speeding ticket, or I have the discretion to write you a warning. And I don't get involved in that because I want the officers to be able to make that decision. Now, when I was back in the day when I was writing tickets, if I run across one person that I wrote a warning to, generally after that I either stopped or I wrote everybody a warning because police officers have this extreme sense of fairness. We really want to be fair to everybody. And so I would feel bad. I'm like, man, this is such a nice person, but I just wrote a ticket to that one, you know. And so I just generally sometimes I just stop, like, okay, there's a conflict here in my head. I quit, or I just write everybody else a warning. You know. The key to this, though, in speeding, I just want everybody to slow down and drive safe.
Right.
But to answer your question, when you're charged, you are incarcerated, and most everybody in jail. Not everybody in jail has been convicted. Some are. We hold misdemeanors here. Some are being convicted and are serving sentences. Also, though, we bring those in that have not been convicted. Of course, they have a right to bond. And you hear a lot about that in the world about cash-free bonds, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody has a right to bond. That's But the thing about it is, what happens is there's a lot of people that take advantage of that. It's like when you have a cashless bond and it's like, okay, sign your name. Well, they don't show back up. That's what a bond is. When you sign a ticket, you're just saying that I agree to show up in court on this day and to answer these charges. Now, you're not guilty. And that's one of the things on the traffic ticket. I always said, you're not, I explained to him, I'm asking you to sign this. It's not admitting guilt, just merely stating you appear in court on this date right here. Our system is wonderful. We have a wonderful judicial system.
So for specifically here or
countrywide, this country has, we have a thing called the Constitution. I often joke, I said, that darn old Constitution gets in my way a lot in what I do, but I wouldn't want to live anywhere else without one.
Absolutely. And then, no doubt about it, I think greatest country in the world. But looking at the issue at hand, there are folks that actually has been arrested, indicted, or whatever, and we said innocent until proven guilty.
Mhm.
And then at the end of the day, it came out to they're going for the court, they're going for a jury, and they're found not guilty. But yet, if it's 6 months, whatever the time frame that they spent in there, they were treated like a criminal. They were treated like with disrespected. But how do we justify innocent until proven guilty?
There's not a way you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, the only way you could do that is maybe segregate them, but you charge people over here and they're treated. but
because there's no compensation afterwards.
But you and that's true. There's times that you're found not guilty,
Yeah.
and
And that depending on how long you may have to be there, that's the loss of jobs. That's the loss of you can potentially lose a lot, and then you lose your dignity because of the way you were treated the whole time you went.
Well,
you found that
and that's because society does that. I have people that come through my office that have gone to prison, and I still treat them just like everybody else because you've served your time. Not not everybody. I guess you can call them a criminal. Well, there's good people make mistakes sometimes. And but I don't have a solution to your problem because and everybody is but I can.
Chief, not everybody that commits a crime is a criminal.
Is a criminal.
Yeah, and I hate to. I think one of the senators out of Texas said that, and I'm like, God, am I agreeing with her? Jasmine Crockett said that.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, they are good people that make mistakes. Does it make you a criminal because you're a speeder?
Again, if
You get a speeding ticket, you get punished. Hopefully, you learn from it and you slow down.
Right.
You drive safe. But there are people out here that are criminals that just will not stop. I mean, the pursuit the other day was a gentleman that he's not going to stop. Anytime we get after him, he puts the public they don't care. He doesn't care. All he wants to do is get away, and it doesn't matter what happens to anybody else. That man needs to be incarcerated probably the rest of his life or until his attitude changes.
It's a young man was arrested 14 times and he was let out. So those things have to be looked at. And I definitely agree, but I guess it goes right back to my little problem here. Chief, it's like if somebody is arrested, the law said you are innocent until proven guilty.
But you are.
You're not. You are not because you are not being treated innocent while you are incarcerated.
Okay. If I may, I think the issue you're highlighting, because I worked in the jail system as a nurse, so I've seen a few things. You're talking about the treatment within the jail system. From the correctional officers.
Yeah.
And then all the way around, you are being treated like a criminal. But yet I'm here waiting for my court date. Okay, so I can know if I'm found guilty or not. But yet
I think what you're saying. Let's go back now. Even if you are a criminal, should you be mistreated?
You shouldn't.
No,
you shouldn't.
So nobody should be mistreated, no matter what they. Does what you're saying does happen? You're getting back to we're human beings. We get frustrated with the people. I say our jail is a pretty decent jail because I have a wonderful chief jailer, Regina. She does a great job. You mistreat a prisoner in there, she will chew your tail out. And she doesn't hesitate to take disciplinary action. One of the things that I have noticed, maybe last year, had an incident where a prisoner was taunting one of the jailers. He got his fill. He was going in there to get him some. And the jailer, and the jailer said, "No, you're not." Pulled him back and it brought him back to his senses. But we put up with a lot. I policed real hard back in my day. Now, this stuff I see on TV, there's no way in the world the generation that I policed in would put up with it. I was watching something last night, the ICE protest, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to say what I said, but I shouted at the TV, put them in jail, quit coddling these people, okay? When you get up in somebody's face, you wouldn't tolerate it, would you? No, when you get up in somebody's face, I was taught at my police academy that when somebody gets up within arm's reach, get back. That's what I was taught. Get back, because you're getting close enough, you can harm me. So
that's
let me just wrap that up.
Come on, Jimmy.
No, let's go. I like this. Hey,
You get me all emotional, man.
come on, let's go. Let's go.
Let him land the plane. Let him land.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say is that you cannot use the word innocent until proven guilty when you were treating everybody across the board. If you get them, they and it's the system. And I know what you mentioned is the way they
Right.
treat you
It's
in
the
there.
system.
That way, that also weighs on it. But the system itself, if you're saying innocent until proven guilty, if you arrest somebody because hey, you're already guilty, you found guilty, boom, that's one thing. But if it's an investigation and you still have to appear in front of a judge and you still have to go, through a trial, whatever it is, there has to be a different level of treatment. Because
I will say from experience, it's very seldom anybody's found not guilty.
Yeah.
As an investigator, my standards was pretty high before I got a warrant or made an arrest. In fact, I had a chief one time come down and he says, "Why isn't so-and-so in jail?" I said, "Chief, I just don't feel comfortable. I don't have enough to get a warrant yet." And so once I reached that threshold, it was pretty much a done deal. Yes, there's no doubt. Now, I thought he was guilty. I told a lawyer one time, I've never arrested an innocent man. Everyone I arrest is guilty because I'm the first judge and jury. Okay. But I see what you're saying, but let's make it more broader. Nobody, whether you're innocent, or guilty, you shouldn't be mistreated. I don't believe in mistreating people in jail, but people in jail, they have nothing better to do all day than to think about ways to make your life miserable. They will tear up stuff. I was in charge of the jail as a sergeant back when it was smaller. And I would have to come in and clean up, get the trustees out and clean up the messes. Have you ever had feces thrown at you? That's what some of these people in jail will do that. They'll throw you, but I agree with you. But you got to think in terms of innocent until proven guilty. Yes, okay, that person's arrested. He has a right to bond. He doesn't even have to spend any time in jail. Okay, so but when you're guilty, then you're sentenced. So you're going to spend time in jail. So there is a difference. Now it's the same facility, the same people, and all that, but we try not to mistreat anybody.
Yeah.
I think different in process, but not treatment. Here's my opinion. This is not clearly my opinion, guys. I'm very opinionated. But my opinion on this is this: though, if somebody's getting arrested, you have not been found guilty.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there got to be some other process to continue this person until we can get them in front of the judge, until the process can take place. But to take away their calls, to take away certain rights.
But it's a 50-50.
50-50 chance.
But getting that, that person has.
I'm not guilty. Innocent until proven guilty.
But that person could.
I think they mean that
that person has a right to bond out.
Yeah, they have the right to bond. If I'm a police officer and I know you're a drug dealer or whatever, and I made that judgment, like he said, the old men tell him he's the judge and the jury.
The first judge
and jury. So I'm not gonna let you go if I myself feel like you're guilty. But now the court system is so beautiful that our court system here is going to decide it if you're guilty or not. But to the police officer, you're guilty. So I'm going to treat you like you're guilty.
But now, listen now, that doesn't justify mistreatment.
No. I'm not saying mistreatment.
Really, people that are arrested they set the tone of the arrest.
So if you think somebody innocent, you let them out. What they do? They destroy everything.
Yeah, destroy everything. That's something altogether.
There's no balance. It's a very controversial thing to talk about.
It is.
I feel like there's no balance.
I think you're
both exist in the jailhouse.
You're talking
focusing on mistreatment.
The jailhouse mistreatment.
Yeah, and I think you're talking about the facility. Most of the people we have up here, they come in and they're processed out.
Yeah,
we don't have that many serving time.
Yeah.
Now the county jail, whole different world. That's where the worst of the worst goes because we only hold felons temporarily.
What's that?
County jail, though, you also house some folks who are waiting trial.
Yes.
Even if it's like in a federal case, for example, you would still house some folks who's in the.
Well, if they can't make bond, and most this day and time, people, if they got a good lawyer, they're going to get bond. There's times that you're put in jail and the judge says no bond because, face it, there are people that are a danger to the community. Now, there's the times when I was investigator, I'd go down and get a warrant. They'd say, well, hey, you have a bond. What do you think about bond? I said, minimal bond. Unless this person was a flight risk or a danger to the community, I'd say, hey, let's move the bond up a little bit because let me explain to you why. And they might increase the bond a little bit. I just never was one to keep people in the jail. Especially you say, all right, you commit a felony. You do some white collar crime or something. You stole from the bank or something. You're not a danger to the community. You're not a flight risk. There's no reason. There's no reason for you to have to stay in jail, is it? So hey, let you go home. But I still have to book you in, process you, process you, and well, in DUI, we have to hold them long enough to sober up. Domestic violence, witness domestic violence, they have to have a hearing within 24 hours. There's exceptions because, kind of a cooling down period. The magistrate tells you, hey, this is what you can do. You can't go around her anymore. You can't go home, blah, blah, that kind of stuff.
We're running out of time, Chief.
I know, but it's just
I
a
wanted
quick thing.
before everybody gets their last, I just wanted to mention that you've had your fair share of high stress situations. I just wonder what's some of the things that bring you joy and some of those happy places in life.
I love the beach. I just got back from Destin. I loved it. I would get up every morning, walk 3 miles, and come back and get in the hot tub and get all the aches and pains. And I'd go to the beach with my family, and I couldn't even make myself think about this place. It was just totally away. But that I really I enjoy the beach. But there's you talk about stress. That's something else we've recently done. We've been implemented a mental health program for the law enforcement.
Awesome.
That's so important.
Yes,
Because I actually work in behavioral health now at UAB. Mental health is.
Well,
we need to bring more awareness.
Back in my day, I'm old school. Okay, what did we do? We engaged in self-destructive behavior. We drank, we drugged, we ran around on our wives. Ultimately, we eat our gun. I know of 2 suicides in my career, people I knew in law enforcement. We have got to change that attitude. We have to change that mentality. It's okay to ask for help. And we have a wonderful program, and it was a team effort. So maybe that's an interview for another day.
To bring that way.
There's some important questions the community need to know. So far as in October, what is the new law taking effect?
I guess you're talking about when you're in traffic stop and you have a reasonable suspicion to think person's here illegally and you contact ICE.
Yeah.
Some ICE questions.
Not a big fan of it.
Why?
We have enough to do. Listen, I want to put it out up front. Okay, I'm a law and order guy. If you're here illegally, do something about it. I want you to understand that you're subject to deportation. Okay, you got to understand it. And I'm going to get on my political box a little bit, so forgive me. And if I go in a direction and say, Chief, okay, the previous administrations gave false hope to a lot of people. They said, come on. But they didn't tell them anything about it's actually against the law, so there might be a change in the future. Nobody was told that. So everybody come here and built a new life without being legal. Well, a lot of people did. And the way I look at that is whether I voted for Joe Biden, Obama, all them, that's still my government.
Right.
I still have responsibility for them. So
but
we will work with ICE. They've come here. They've done some targeted, they're after mainly drug dealers. They're after the worst of the worst, and we will assist them. When certain individuals get in jail, ICE puts detainer on them. We honor detainers. Last week, there was 2 gentlemen that had detainers on them, ICE detainers, and I assumed they came and got them. Like I said, I'm a law and order guy. But now I'm not going to, I don't want to just go around. We tried this 15 years ago. It didn't work. I don't know if y'all wasn't here, but you might have been, but all this stuff about local law enforcement getting involved in the immigration stuff and all that, it didn't work out then. So I like it the way it is. ICE comes, we assist, we will help them. But I don't want to be in the immigration business. Now, there's a program called 287G. I looked at it. And where after some training, our officers can do some of that ICE stuff. But I'm like, gosh, we got enough to do. And it's working okay now.
So is Marshall County finally is part of that?
Oh, I just read an article where Phil's signed up for the 287G program. Yeah.
Okay, because that's one thing. I mean, because Albertville, Marshall County was in part of that, and I'm very familiar with that program.
Yeah.
Etowah County.
We looked at it right after but maybe a year after I became chief, and and I'm like, I talked to the ICE agent and all that, and it's a way to help them a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you go to jail at Albertville, everybody is processed and they're looked at. And if you're here illegally, I'll tell you a sad story. I was sitting in my office one day and heard people out in the hallway crying. I'm like, wow, what's going on? So I got up and looked down the door, 2 Hispanic adult females, bunch of kids. I'm like, what's going on? Cutest little old girl with pigtails. Had one of our suckers because we keep suckers for the kids. Every one of them had, she come up and she had that sucker and she kind of pointed that sucker at me and then pointed back toward the jail. She says, I want my Poppy. Well, I know what that meant. Poppy's in jail. And so I looked at the lady. I said, is he in jail? And she said, yeah. I said, I'm sorry. So the jailer, what he was doing is trying to accommodate them as much as he could, considering Dad was in jail and probably he was going to be deported. And not everybody the detainer gets deported. They get processed. Some come back. Some have come back. But it kind of broke my heart. And so the jailer, after he got him out, we were talking and he said, man, it's sad. I said, yeah, but it ain't on us. I said, the previous administrations, they gave these people the false hope. Okay. And now we're having to clean up the mess. And I don't know what your political affiliation is. I'm neither Democrat or Republican. Okay.
Well,
Yeah, you're very, but in my position, I shouldn't take sides. The way I look at it. But that broke my heart. But then I got to thinking, okay, this man couldn't keep out of jail because that wouldn't have never happened to him if he hadn't gotten put in jail, if he hadn't got arrested. Okay. That man couldn't, he thought more of his partying or whatever he did more than his family. Don't go out here and do stupid stuff and get arrested because if you're illegally, you're going to get deported. Stay under the radar. Start doing something. See a lawyer. Hey, if nothing else, get the app, self-deport, take the 1,000, go, and then come back.
The right way.
Yeah, do it the right way. And it's not fair to people that I've talked to a lot of Hispanic people that, man, they went through a lot to become American citizen.
Why don't they give the people a warning? It's like these guys have their license. It said that it's gonna be expiring 2026, and then they still driving with that license. While that license is expired, they don't know if it's expired until they get pulled over. Or
Department Aaliyah does send out a warning or letter.
Yeah, because I know how many people went to get their renewal, and then they found out that they can't get the renewal.
And it's right on the license, the expiration date.
No, I'm talking about for their tag. Their license is expired, and they're not allowed to have the insurance no more. You know.
I'm not really following you.
So when I come into the Biden program, right? They give you work authorization card, right, Jimmy? Correct me if I'm wrong. The work authorization card
It's good for 2 years.
is good for 2 years. But I go get a license, they give me a
when you
driver license.
driver's license, okay.
Yes,
Mhm.
they give you a driver license. So that driver license, when Trump took office, even though they still had 2 years.
So,
Yeah.
just so we can
Yeah.
put the picture together.
Yeah.
So the driver's license, they're going to go ahead and put an expiration date to match your work authorization.
Right.
So when our current president took office and then he stopped the whole Biden program, he cut them. So what happened with that is, even though you have a license that still says they say it expires
2026.
February to 2026, but because he cut the work authorization card, so now that license become expired. And it's not just for the driver's license. I have some of our students, the CNAs that we sent to work, who still has time left on their work authorization. But then when the facility get an email saying that, look, this individual has been terminated from the program.
Right.
So now, even though they have a work permit that's still that shows that it has not expired yet, they were taken out of work.
And most of these people is people that sell their assets. They sell their house to come and
So
live
that's
the American dream.
sounds like something on a federal government
It is.
level.
Mhm.
I'm not real
I
familiar
mean,
with it.
I mean, it is. I mean, it's just like false hope. I mean, I don't know how many people come buy a car from me, and then I got their driver license. I call the insurance company to put insurance on it for them, help them get insurance. They're like, well, this license was expired 2 months ago. I was like,
But-
no, sir.
But
It's
yet the
date on the
license says it isn't.
Yeah, it isn't. So
I've not
it's like,
I've not heard of that. I'm not familiar with
nah,
that.
it says something that happened. It's happening.
But this is a state state issued ID, a license.
Yeah, it's a state FN license or a national
That's
license.
interesting. I didn't know that.
And they have that license, and then but
Yeah, that's a interesting federal topic. But so I want to ask you, Chief, as far as here locally, what do you advise your neighbors here in Albertville to do if they're not set to be legal or whatever the case is?
Well, first off, I want you to understand, even if you're here illegally and you live here, you're still a citizen of Albertville. We got to keep this in perspective. We have state and we have federal. When you come in here illegally, you're violating federal law. You're not violating state. So you're still part of this community. What I advise people is go ahead and do something. There's nothing frustrates me anymore than a person that's been here 20, 25 years and has made no effort to get his citizenship. And I'm like, gosh, it's kind of like a lot of people do this. If I ignore it, it's going to go away. It's not going to go away. Go ahead. Listen, I understand it's frustrating. There's a lot of lawyers making a lot of money off poor folks trying to get their citizenship. But do something.
get married to them.
Well, I don't. But even if you have to do something as drastic as, hey, download the app, self-deport, do the $1,000 and use it to come back or what, I don't know. Listen, this problem is bigger than me.
Yeah, it is.
I think for a lot of people that self-deport's not an option.
Yeah, I mean,
You get sent back to Mexico, you get sent back to Haiti, you're gonna get kidnapped.
You're gonna get killed.
It's gonna cost a lot more.
You heard what the barbecue and what's that gang? Lamar Sanju. He says that I'll be waiting for y'all. That means death.
The chief said something that is key. Not only this
They're
problem,
waiting for these people.
not only is this problem bigger than us, I know a lot of people probably going to dislike me for saying what I'm about to say. Yes, it is the previous administration who is responsible for this. If our previous administration did what he had to do and did it right, this could not have happened.
No.
Now, it's a very sad situation because these
It
people
is.
at the same time, they never asked to come here. So it's almost saying that this guy come, he opened the door, and we coming in, and now before we know it, we start this new life, like you just said, and then now the new guy come in and said, "Look, this was done illegally. I have to clean my house, so you guys gotta go."
Well, I blame the Haitian government too, because
Yes,
I mean
but
the Ukrainian people, Ukraine, I can't speak. People, they're not getting the same treatment.
of course not.
You know, South African people are not getting the same treatment. Why is the Haitians and the Mexicans, which get a different treatment?
And I want you to understand, though, I'm not sympathetic to this because let me tell you about a friend of mine named Diego. I won't use his last name. Diego, I knew him as a kid. When I was a detective, if a bicycle was stolen in that neighborhood, Diego took it. That's how I got to know Diego. And then Diego got some time in jail as an adult. But Diego was a really good kid. I liked him. Very good with his hands, take direction. So we'd make him trustee. And at that time, I was doing a lot of remodeling work in the detective division. So I'd get Diego out. He'd work for me all day. I could leave him, trusted him. I'd go get him his lunch. Got to know Diego real well. Started taking Diego to church with me, and got him. Well, I kind of helped him get a job. He was working in construction because Dan asked me about him, and I said, "Yeah, man, he's great. He's a good worker." But Diego came here as like a preteen, like a real young kid. His family came here. They were all illegal across the border, and all the family got citizenship. I'm like, Diego, you need to go get your citizenship. Oh man, he's always like, the money needs to go here. The money needs to, I said, Diego, you need to get your citizenship, over and over and over. Well, one day Diego calls me. He said, Jay, he called me Jay. Jay, man, they come to the house and got me. I said, who? Because I thought he'd done something, got arrested here. Man, immigration, man. I'm down in Etowah County. Wow, Diego. Okay, so I hollered at his boss, and Dan and I ride down to Etowah County to see Diego. He was in jail. And so I'm like, Dan, let's see what we can do. So we go to a lawyer's office down there. And I mean, this guy wants $10,000 up. I said, Dan, I ain't got that kind of money. And Diego didn't. He's like, hey, Diego's the kind of, at this point in his life, he said, I own it. I did it. I own it. So Diego got deported. So he called me from Mexico every once in a while. I hadn't heard from him in a long time, so I don't know if something's happened to him or not. And he apparently, his family down there are Jehovah's Witness, I think. I'm not really sure. But he went to an area, and that wasn't a really good place in Mexico. And he called me one time. He says, Jay, he says, man, you ain't gonna believe it. I said, what's going on? He says, man, I was riding around with a couple other guys, and the police stopped us, and they gave them money to go away, man. And I'm like, Diego, that's what they do down there, okay? All right. He was just so amazed that the police were bribed, And I got a leather bag. His family down there does leather work. He sent it up to his family. So I'm saying this I want you to understand, I lost a friend because he was hard-headed and he didn't go get, and this was a time where he could have done it, because this is well before Trump administration. I mean, this is like probably during the Biden administration he got deported. A lot of people don't know this, but the Biden administration was deporting people too. This ain't a new thing. But their guidelines were certain crimes.
People don't realize more people got deported, especially to Haiti under Obama.
So I mean, this is not a new thing. I know Trump gets blamed for a lot, but this is nothing new. They put detainers, especially toward the latter part of Biden's administration. There were detainers, but they were on certain crimes, violent crimes and all that. Now it's pretty much, Regina, my chief jailer, she says, man, if you got a traffic ticket, they'll put a detainer on you. So the community needs to stay out of trouble. But you don't need to ignore this problem. It's not going to go away. Do something, you know.
Oh.
Well, you know what? I really enjoyed this. This went a lot faster than I thought. I mean,
Nice, good
yeah,
conversation. Thanks
but
for accepting the
I
invitation.
love what I do. I'm very
Yeah.
passionate about it. And so if I can sit and talk to anybody and let them know about what we do, I love it. I mean,
Right.
I'll talk to any of you out there. If a pastor, you want me to come to your church, hey, just ask me. I don't like to show up at people's churches. I feel like I'm imposing. I like to discuss with the pastor. Do you want me to wear a suit? Do you want me to wear a uniform? I know people are scared, What do you want me to come if you want me to come talk, or if you just want me to come worship with you, I will. We've done a lot of Haitian churches, and my wife loves going to Haitian churches. I mean,
You're like a rock star.
yeah, but my wife loves the music.
Yeah. It's good music.
It is.
Good
If
food.
you hadn't been to a Haitian church, go to a good Haitian Baptist church, y'all.
I mean, when they start smelling the chocolate, I started like jumping, singing, you know.
But Chief, it's
That
been
was a
such a
really
pleasure.
good
Thank you.
episode.
Yeah.
Chief,
Yeah,
you
conversation.
are
Thank you.
a humble man.
Yes.
You are an accountable. I mean, the accountability you've taken over your life. I've met you through Jeff, some of the, and you've always portrayed that. But today, I just feel like I know my chief. I
Well,
can just
Let me give credit.
Chief of the
Let me
Ville.
give credit where credit's due. Is credit. I'll give all the glory to Jesus Christ, my Savior. Okay,
Amen.
because He's the one that made me who I am.
So you got
Listen, y'all. There was a time I was a pretty negative person.
yeah.
Oh, I was.
No, not Chief.
Yeah.
No, not Chief.
I think that's why I'm very tolerant of negative people.
No, not
But
that.
there was a time I had to make a decision. Like, do I want to be like this and just be negative all the time? Do I want to be positive? And it takes a while to change. I can't change you. I can change me.
Right.
But I kept wanting to change everybody else. I can't change folks.
That's right.
Appreciate it, Chief.
Everybody out
Thanks
there.
for coming. And Jimmy, you give him your endorsement, right? I mean, he's running for mayor.
No,
But
Listen.
those of you who does want to know about this, the 287 G program, look it up. This
I've been
great
wanting you guys
information.
for almost a year about this.
But yeah, you've been talking about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But learn
Way
about it.
before it comes.
And I think Chief give you guys the best advice possible right now is stay out of trouble. In other words, if you need to go somewhere, keep your behind home. Just stay home. And do what you gotta do. If you have options, take those options. Do not just sit there and wait and just hope something's gonna come from heaven and just gonna change everything for you. If you can take action, take action. Take action.
All right, beating your
All right.
wives.
Things.
Okay.
Let's stop drinking and driving. Those are the simple things that you can stop. You have to control.
And I would like to add this too. Should ICE come to get you, don't fight.
Yeah.
Don't make it any worse.
Yeah.
Just accept it, cooperate. Because those guys got a job to do too. And I had the pleasure of meeting the regional director the other day, and has a lot of similar thought processes to me. He loves people, and I think everybody has the attitude that ICE hates all Hispanics, and it's not like that. They just got a job to do, and he was a nice guy. I really liked him, and
at least the one that's around me.
and because really, I'll just be honest with you, he came to my office. I'm like, oh my gosh, are we gonna have raids? Are we all this stuff? No. He just, I want to come meet you, and and he was interested in, hey, what's the drug activity, that kind of stuff. Which, hey, I'll take all the help in the world on that. Hey, by these democratic cities, they don't want National Guard. If my city was in crisis, bring them on. Bring them on. Don't be so prideful you can't ask for help.
100%. And if you deal with law enforcement, you would understand why the last episode I said something about. I agree with.
It's not their primary role, but sometimes you have to take drastic measures to get.
Yeah, a lot of people thought I was ignorant for saying that. See, a chief of police.
But you got to understand, really, when it comes down to it, there's a small percentage of people that commit all the crimes.
Yes.
And this is my personal opinion, what Trump did in Washington, they took about 1,500, last I heard, hardened criminals off the street. And that's why crime went down, because probably those 1,500 did a lot of the crime.
Yeah. Well,
I can talk all night about this.
Yeah, I know.
Chief, appreciate
You
your
have
time.
to get back, Chief.
And you got to come back.
You have to come back.
Absolutely. There's more stories.
You
I
have
feel like
to
there's
come
more
back.
stories. Than there-
Well, I mean, I would love to come back and talk about community cleanup and because I am very passionate about that. I want our city to be beautiful.
Thank you guys for joining in this introductory conversation with Chief of the Ville.
Like, subscribe, and share.
Too many views, no like, no share.
That's right.
And comment.
Comment.
Give us your
please do.
feedback.
Please do.
If you're in right
Give us some
now,
feedback.
If you have not pushed that subscribe button, stop right now. Stop. Don't do nothing else. Click it. All right. Very good.
Yeah.
Now go ahead and take that.
Drink
Church,
that.
that's what it is.
No.
Listen, Jolina will get upset if you touch that.
That's good.